Thank you, David, for this opportunity to say a few words in celebration of Ellis Cowling, who died in September of this year, just about a month ago. So Ellis Cowling, and that's like bowling, but with a C, he used to like to say, was a significant figure in my life and a remarkable colleague and friend to many others, some of you who are in the audience today. So I'd like to share just a bit about Ellis, especially because of his importance to this program, the National Atmospheric Deposition Program. Hold on, let me get my advancement going here. So shown here are some of the awards and honors that Ellis received over his career, which gives some indication of the diversity of endeavors that he undertook, as well as the exceptional way he went about those endeavors. So I'll mention that Ellis was the only faculty member at NC State who was appointed as a University Distinguished Professor at Large. And this gave him the latitude to work across campus on issues of importance that he considered important, and he was called upon by many university leaders for counsel on various topics. So while he did have an appointment at Yale at the start of his career, he came to NC State in 1965, and he retired after more than 40 years of service to the university. Quite a career. And I also point out his election to the National Academy of Sciences in 1973. And he had a long list of service in many leadership positions and committees with the Academy over the years. So this is a picture of Ellis with Svante Odin and Bert Bolin, and you've all probably heard him actually recount the moment he met Svante Odin, which was a seminal moment and turning of his career to some of these topics of acid deposition. So he met Odin, who had identified acid deposition as an issue in Sweden and started a national surface water monitoring network there to monitor the chemistry of precipitation. So when Ellis returned to the US, he wrote a proposal beginning in 1975 which was accepted as part of the regional research system of the state agricultural experiments stations. So this is the first page of that proposal, October 1975. You can see the date Ellis marked on it, for an experiment station network to measure changes in the chemistry of atmospheric deposition on agricultural and forested lands and surface waters in the United States. So he then helped lead the development of the network and advocated for support from other federal agencies in addition to USDA, and many of which are still involved today, as you know, as well as other participants in the network. So I would point out there's a really nice video of Ellis recounting the history of the development of the program on the NADP website. Call that to your attention. And after acting as chair of the program from 1978 to 1983, Ellis had the opportunity to sign the NADP chair gavel in 2011. And so this is a picture of him in office doing so. So these are just a few of the many publications that Ellis authored over his career. And you can see they cover an expansive range of topics, from his thesis work on in plant pathology to summarizing the National Acid Precipitation Assessment Program, or NAPAP, which he also helped initiate, to developing statements of scientific findings about tropospheric ozone. And he was very keen on the idea of science that informs policy. And the Southern Occident Study was a program that he led for many years with many investigators. And then, of course, this substantial body of work about the challenges of reactive nitrogen in the environment, as well as things like analyzing the traditional structures of research funding for agricultural and medical research. So he really spanned a broad bunch of topics. So his legacy is shaped especially by those he worked with over the years. He gave of his time and energy to support students and scientists earlier in their careers. And he was especially adept at inspiring diverse groups of scientists to work together to address a particular challenge, which is evident in some of the publications we just saw He was one of the hardest working individuals I've ever met, but was fond of saying that things almost always work better when it doesn't matter who gets credit. Meanwhile, he was doing a lot of the work in the background, but and not getting the credit necessarily. But he recognized that that might be easier to accept if when one's focus is not on publishing or perishing. So he also worked to change some of the systems of advancement in the university to increase the value that was given to aspects of extension and engagement and professional service. He was also fond of saying that even scientists like to have fun, a philosophy that kind of fed into some of his collaborations. So Ellis also had a deep commitment to service, which is summed up in this foreword from a report from a committee that he led that recommended the move of the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse to prevent it from being destroyed by the rising sea levels. So he was elected to the Academy for Community Engagement Scholarship, and he led the effort twice to have NC State classified as a community engaged institution by the Carnegie Institution for the advancement of teaching. So this dedication to service extended to his time as a retired faculty and to his personal time at the Chautauqua Institution, which he connected to some of the public perceptions of science programs of the Academy. So, and he felt strongly about this need for the moral dimension of intelligence, which is the dimension of our intelligence that embraces judgment, feelings of right and wrong, compassion, responsibility, and which kind of impels you to act on that. So I think we all saw that in Ellis's life. And just recounting here a few of the tributes to Ellis that I encountered as I went about helping his family by notifying some of his professional colleagues about his passing. So I don't need to read these, I'll leave these up here, but I think these point to the impact he had on others and to his tremendous legacy, especially in the realm of environmental monitoring, as you can see from the words of Rick Weber, which I appreciate. And so I'll end with these words from Jim Galloway, who was also a very long time colleague of Ellis's. And I'd like to echo Jim's final few lines. Ellis Cowling was an outstanding scientist and a humble, compassionate human being. And he is and will continue to be missed. So thank you for your attention. And now I'll stop sharing and hand the program back to John Walker.
Thank you, Cari. That was great. Ellis was such a huge person for NADP, and on a personal note, he was a champion for me in my career, and he's going to be dearly missed. Thank you for that presentation.